Hey yo, what's up everybody? The Wuthering Waves Imeth arc is not just a great story, but I personally think it's probably the best story they've told so far. Let's talk about it. Also, spoilers. Duh. So before we get too deep into why this Imeth arc is so damn great, let's talk about what I enjoyed about the stories they told this patch, because there were a lot of them, but I feel like all the stories, the Hiyuki Segue quest, the main quest, the second part of Hiyuki's Segue quest, the two after stories, all of it told kind of one cohesive story that was just kind of broken into sections, but it was still, yeah, it was amazing. But here's some of the things that stood out to me that I enjoyed while playing this quest. And one of them is just seeing all these characters. You know, instead of having an NPC do this or NPC over here do that, we've met characters in all echelons of society. We've met characters who are secret agents, characters who are students, characters who are teachers, characters who work at our home base, and seeing all those characters play a role in helping the mission succeed and just providing support to the main character was awesome, especially in this genre of game where they, at least we've seen in other games, how they kind of rely on using NPCs for most of the things. It's great to see our characters actually in action. And of course, I gotta say it, we all enjoyed piloting the Exostrider. The first time we got a chance to control the Exostrider, it was cool, but I noticed that, wait a minute, I can dash? Does that mean I'll eventually get a chance to play the Exostrider throughout the story? And I was super happy and excited when we finally got a chance to like do combat with the Exostrider. That was awesome. Early on in the story, it focused on Hiyuki, and we got a chance to go to Honami City, and I thought that was dope. I liked the idea of going back to Honami City, and this version of Honami City is different from the scenario we go to at the end of chapter 2. And I wish we didn't have to go into a scenario and then go into a cafe and then go into an instance-based world to actually be able to explore Honami, because I like it a lot, but it's just so many steps to access it. But staying on track, I thought it was cool looking back and seeing Rover's past through Hiyuki's eyes and just how they used the Grand Architect to try to manipulate it. And I'll get back to the Grand Architect. We're going back to that, but I also have to say that they did a great job connecting chapter 2 to chapter 3, because when you play chapter 3, it's easier to connect chapter 3 to chapter 1 than it feels to connect chapter 2 to chapter 3. I don't know if anybody else felt the same way, but that's kind of how I feel, because I feel like there's so many things that happen in chapter 2 that don't really seem as connected to chapter 3 as chapter 1 in terms of story and just the series of events. But they did a great job of kind of connecting and showing the significance of the Fraxidus plan in chapter 2 and just how all of that is relevant to what we're experiencing now in chapter 3. Of course, there were some Spirit Bomb and Avenger moments in the story. One of them was all of our friends together giving us support. The other moment was all the frequencies inside of LF1 aiding Ameth. That moment was also really cool too. There were a number of moments like that. But in terms of really big things that I liked about the story, I liked that they clearly established the stakes and the countermeasures of this mission, which makes it feel more grounded. It makes the story feel more powerful. We know that the stakes essentially are all of Lahairoi and the entirety of Solaris 3 being affected if this mission goes sideways. But at the same time, I love the fact that they had countermeasures, because it just makes the world feel more grounded. It's like, hey, we're trusting you to do this, but just in case the plan goes sideways, we have another thing that we're planning to do to protect everyone. And essentially that was to seal off Lahairoi and essentially make it a sealed tomb, and they're going to evacuate as many people as possible and just seal it off where nobody can access it, because then it's going to be connected to, you know, the outside of Solaris 3, allowing LF1 to fully envelop all of Solaris 3. So I love the fact that they kind of had the citizens, the people, kind of had this measure in place, like we've had this plan just in case, you know what I mean? Also, the establishment of a villain. Because going back through the story, we had villains at different points, and then we didn't have villains at different points. And then when we finally get to chapter 3, when we first got here, we kind of had a villain, but the villain was kind of like an amorphous, you know, thing, LF1, that doesn't really have a face to it. It's hard to connect to. It's hard to kind of show that LF1 actually has malice intent because that's not being conveyed to you through its voice, through its facial expressions, etc. So the fact that the Grand Architect has now been pushed to the forefront to be the main villain and to kind of give us a face to what we're up against, I feel like that was an excellent move. And they did make the Grand Architect a villain. They definitely made this character a villain. Trying to manipulate Hiyuki into hating us, trying to sabotage our plans, trying to manipulate Hiyuki to be LF1's resonator, manipulating Dinya to be LF1's resonator. I mean, essentially being the person behind the incident that resulted in Imeth's death. I mean, they've done so much so far with this character, and I'm loving every bit of it, man, because it's way better than, what we've gotten in some of these other stories. And so I feel like, man, the story is on an excellent track, man. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. And also, I gotta say too that the ending message, the moral at the end of the story, was also very powerful and very cool. And that moral or message kind of makes Rover a better and more relatable character. Even if Rover is this supernatural being, it still gives more relatability to the character, and that moral essentially is Rover or no one else is impervious to failure. And even a person as powerful as they are, there's even more strength in working with others. So with that being said, why is this whole arc so great? I think part of it is that when it comes to saving Imeth, we didn't get the same energy when we were going to go and save Jin Shi, or when we were saving Karthia, or when we were saving I feel like they gave us a reason to care about Imeth. Then this reason was conveyed in multiple different ways. It was conveyed through the proximity to the character, in terms of just showing us together on screen. It was conveyed through the story, and also conveyed through the backstory about their past together. So it made us want to save this character. It made us invested on whether or not this character survives. It's this whole act pulled together things that were in Acts 1 and Acts 2 and fully utilized those things. I mean, there was just so much that it brought together. What else was I gonna say? Dang, I forgot. This whole arc kind of embodies the message that I just talked about at the end, that the main character, Rover, and everyone that you've ever met all play a role in this world and all play a role in saving this world. That everyone and everything matters. With that said, I don't think I really need to rate this story, and with that said, I feel like the presentation of this story, the visuals, the music, the sound effects, it was amazing. I'd give that a 10 when it comes to intelligence, as in the things that we learn or the things that are conveyed in the story that tell us about what has happened, what is going to happen, and informs us what's happening. I don't think at any point in the story I was ever lost because of a lack of information. And I don't think by the end of the story I was left with any unanswered questions. I mean, there were some, but it wasn't because the information wasn't given. It was more of, I'm just looking forward to what's going to happen next. I'm looking forward to, what's going to happen with Ashinohara, what's going to happen with the Grand Architect. But in terms of the information lining up, as in kind of everything kind of has a purpose or a meaning, I'd give the intelligence portion a 10 as well. As far as gameplay, hey, y'all already know, man, with these stories, you don't really get a lot of gameplay. You don't really get a chance to use the characters and do a lot of things. Of course, we did get some. We got a chance to play as Hiyuki. We got a chance to play as the Exostrider. And there were some small mobs here and there, a few puzzles here and there. And so for that reason, I'd probably give it a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10 for gameplay. I think 7 is kind of generous. I feel like I'm being too generous though. But anyway, pacing. The pacing of the story was nice. It was cool. It was good. I think there were a few moments where the pacing was kind of slow and it should have picked up a little bit, or they kind of got into this pocket of saying the same thing over and over again with a few different characters. But overall, I felt like it was done well. 8 out of 10. And the overall rating for this quest, it's a 9 out of 10. It was a really good quest, and it was a perfect continuation to Act 3. Nonetheless, I enjoyed this quest, man. I'm looking forward to your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think and what you thought as you were playing through this quest. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll catch you in the waves. Peace.